and ran into last night, and I figured I'll share it. I'll at least try to. In the past, I felt incompetent enough or too much to perhaps explain stories or give in-depth analysis about things, but that's no longer the case, so here we go. This is like a simple story, but the example of the kind of things that people aren't even aware of at all. This is a very, very extremely simple thing. However, I dare suggest, I humbly suggest that this is yet another psychological operation. Now, the term comes with a lot of weight perhaps, and you assume big, kind of crazy, whatever, whatnot, but all it is, really, is a story that's made up, that's meant to affect you in a certain way, and that's all this is. So what we've got is 3 Afghan National Army soldiers, as you can read there, who went missing. Now, okay, how did they go missing? Well, and where were they and all that shit? I'll try to get to that, I guess, slowly. I'll explain a little bit of what I know about it. Not much, but I've looked into it for the last day. I know the basics. And there's a lot of details with the organizations and groups and specifics and stuff that I really won't have time to go into, but they relate to a lot of the things I'm working on, so that's sort of a big reason why I'm actually talking about this in the first place. Okay, well, they're at a joint exercise, essentially. I believe there's up to 20 countries even here at a base, and there's 20 soldiers, maybe even as well, maybe I'm mixing those numbers, 15 or 20 countries or so, a bunch of countries anyways, maybe it's only 5, good God. Okay, different countries are working together, yeah, and they are doing exercises, okay, and it's basically to, God, where was the quote I had? It's, if you look in the tweets, it's there, whatever, you can read up if you read everything, but I'm trying to be a synopsis, of course. Yeah, basically a joint exercise to actually fight combat things even as much as, I think, stereotyping and terrorism and stuff like that, like security-related matters. Okay, so all these countries get together and do these exercises and all that. So anyways, 3 soldiers leave the base one night. Apparently it's reported by the security. I don't know how exactly. That's one of the things that you could look into forever, all these little details, but however they get reported missing, the security base, I don't know if they have to do checks on how many people are there every night, or like, you know, did they have to check in and they didn't, and therefore they, you know, looked into it or something. But either way, 3 people were missing, and it turns out how they were missing was they just basically walked away. I mean, you think they deserted their base or something, but no, these guys weren't American Army necessarily. I don't know what exercises they were doing, but not during an exercise or anything. They were out in the town, and they decided to not come back or whatever. And it gets really weird. This is where you have to analyze it, but basically they were at a Walmart, and they all decided to just go to Canada to, you know, so they were safe away from the Taliban oppression back home, and they were going to get killed and whatnot. But if you look into it, it's not really as realistic or as plausible or as likely, rather, I should say, as it seems. They had no motivation. One of the soldiers had a young family back home, a 1-year-old daughter, I believe, a new wife and everything. High positions in the government. These are 3 individuals who were senior commanders or whatever in the official Afghanistan army, and really no, if you have to look at it that way, I mean, no, if anybody's not going to be scared of anybody back home or whatever, it's these guys, right? These are hardened government officials, whatnot. I mean, these aren't pussies right here, you know? So, anyways, and the story kind of changes a little bit. It seems like all 3 of them decided to just book it all at once, and then you read one article and it says, I think it's probably like Boston Globe, fucking bastards. Anyways, it says like, oh, 2 of them decided, and then one was like, okay, I'll go with you guys. Like, just spur of the moment or whatever. I mean, what else here? We've got, we're trying to just envision the details now. So basically, yeah, there's a story that they stopped at a strip club on the way to the border. They tried to just randomly, like, run over the border to Canada. And why did they go to Canada? Because it's a slightly better, well, one of them had, like, an uncle in Montreal and a cousin in Toronto or something, I don't know, but because it's slightly better chances of seeking asylum in Canada, which is ridiculous, though, because, I mean, they can easily seek asylum in the United States or whatever, and not have to. And this thing is, like, were they sneaking across the border? I don't even think they were. So they were arrested at the border, and now they're each being held on $25,000 bail, all the same amount of bail. The lawyer is sketchy. I've emailed him. He's not going to answer me back probably. But It's so funny. I mean, they shouldn't even be arrested. It shouldn't even be arrested. I mean, if you look at articles, it says you'll see things where it's basically like they're like, oh, they didn't do anything, or like, what did they do, kind of thing. Just sort of suggesting it's just like, well, what happened, kind of thing. But they don't go into that because they don't really want to even make any assumptions or any assertions like that at all, because they're pussy ass reporters, of course, who are owned by the boss. But man, like it's so funny. Yeah, no threat to the public, of course, right? Oh, and look at this, of course, here. Ed Davis, all over this fucker, like, just beautiful, right? Um, yeah, see, it's only 5 different countries, good God. Only 12 of that. Okay, so there's the numbers anyways. I shouldn't use numbers anymore. Or should at least always qualify them like I do. But, to make sure I'm not, just spouting out anything. I'm definitely not doing that. It's when I catch myself doing stuff like that, I'm like, oh God, like I should just wait. And that's why I don't make videos, or didn't in the first place at all. I'm too worried about misspeaking. But that's not even misspeaking. That's just stupid me using numbers like that. Like, fuck, what was I thinking? 15. I was reading. There was another number or something, or I don't know. Fucking Jesus. Anyways, so it's ridiculous though. This whole thing, honestly. All right, here explains the scenarios right here. Ethnic tensions. So, and connections to there's a lot of connections to well, like I said, the security issues, but basically the matters of international assembly. The mixing of Canada and the United States specifically is a topic that's been dealt with a lot, and it relates to this a lot, and that's definitely related to these security issues or whatever. There seems to be a very concerted effort to meld the services of Canada and the United States. All these agencies, I mean, I've talked about, that's a big part of what Boston was. It's like all these agencies getting together and they're coordinating all these responses and whatnot. And that's exactly what this thing was too. I mean, it looked like they were literally doing exercises, right? So it looked like it was just another exercise. It's like, oh, 3 soldiers, okay, haha, you guys are running off or whatever. Like, where are you gonna be? Where are we gonna catch you or whatever, And then they try to go to the border and they don't even I mean, they're not just trying to sneak around or anything. They're just literally just like walking across or whatever. It's not like they're and it's so funny. And so now they're in jail. Probably, um, my guess is they'll be out any day if they're even in jail at all. Um, it was just part of the thing, right? Like it was this huge thing. Now see how if they get responses in prison, even let's say, or something like that. It's just like testing all these systems or whatever. So these guys are 3 guys who aren't worried about shit, and they're gonna be back home with their family in no time. Yeah, that's my theory. I'll leave it at that. There's a lot more, but I forget at the moment. And peace. Maybe I'm not even recording this, am I? That would be terrible. Where's the window? Where's the window? This thing.